The monsoon had turned Dharavi's alleys into rivers of mud, and the scent of wet tar mingled with the sharp tang of fresh coriander from Mira's stall. Arjun Patel crouched behind a rusted sheet metal barrier, the makeshift bamboo bow humming in his hands like a living thing. He drew the string crafted from twisted jute and a discarded bicycle brake cable until his fingertips tingled, then released. The arrow sang past the tangled piles of discarded plastic and metal, struck the center of an old tin can nailed to a brick wall, and exploded in a squeal of metal. A stray child clapped, and a few nearby vendors stopped their bargaining to stare. Someone lifted a phone, the screen glowing amid the gloom, and the clip lingered on the perfect bullseye, the crack of the string echoing like a drumbeat. By midnight, it had ridden the currents of Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, the caption reading, "Dharavi's own Eklavya hits the mark." Within hours, the video was a national sensation. Comments piled up from celebrities, sports journalists, and a single name that made Arjun's heart stumble. Coach Dhiren Singh, the legendary head of the National Sports Academy, whose criticism could turn a career to dust. The next morning, after the rain had seeped out of the slum's cracked concrete, a sleek black sedan pulled up at the edge of the lane. A driver in a crisp white shirt stepped out, handing a sealed envelope to Arjun's sister, Meera. She opened it with trembling fingers. An invitation to the academy, a date, and a single condition. Report to the main training hall at Urdu 800 hours, Indian Institute of Archery, Marine Drive, Mumbai. Failure to appear will be considered a refusal of opportunity. Meera's eyes shone with a mix of pride and fear. "Arjun, this could be our way out," she whispered, brushing a strand of grease-stained hair from his forehead. "Your father would have wanted you to aim higher than these roofs." The first day at the academy was a sensory shock. The marble atrium stretched like a river of white, its pillars inscribed with ancient Sanskrit verses. He who masters the bow becomes a conduit of truth. Above the polished floor, a gigantic bronze statue of a chariot bearing Krishna stood, his hand outstretched as if offering a bow to a devotee. The air was cool, filtered through climate-controlled vents that hissed softly, far removed from the humid, perfumed heat of the slum. Trainees in crisp white uniform shirts embroidered with the academy's. Arjun's mind raced. The oath felt like a chain forged from his own poverty, an admission that his talent was a gift that must be owned and directed by the elite. He glanced at Meera's picture tucked into his pocket, the faint outline of her smile a silent plea. The roar of the crowd outside the hall seemed to fade, replaced by the thrum of his own heartbeat, the rhythm of rain against tin roofs, and the distant chant of a street vendor selling vada pav. He imagined his father's voice, gone years ago, urging him to aim true. The coach's tone hardened. "You have one chance. Accept, and you will receive the finest bows, the best training, a future that could lift your entire family out of this maze. Refuse, and you remain a story on a cracked screen, a footnote to a viral clip." For a breath that stretched into eternity, Arjun felt the pull of dignity, of standing tall despite the world's scorn. Then he thought of Meera's sleepless nights stitching saris, of the squat children who watched him practice with a bamboo bow, of the rain that never seemed to stop. He stepped forward, his palms slick with sweat, and placed them on the cool bronze. He whispered the oath, his voice trembling but steady. "I bind my spirit." The ceremony was recorded. Within minutes, the video of Arjun's oath spread across the nation, sparking debate. Some praised his humility, others his compliance with a demeaning tradition. The Academy's bulletin declared, Arjun Patel, welcome to the National Sports Academy. May his arrows never miss their mark. Training began in earnest. The Academy's range was a cathedral of light. High arches, rows of polished targets, and a ceiling that mimicked a night sky. Each star a sensor recording every release. Rohit, ever the skeptic, eyed Arjun's rustic technique. Your form is raw, he said during a break, offering a glass of chilled water. Your bow is cheap, your arrows cheap. You'll never match the precision of a carbon fiber shaft. Arjun answered with silence, focusing instead on the feel of the new composite bow. The wood still sang under his fingers, but now it resonated with a steadier hum. He recalled the cracked walls of his lane, the sound of rain pounding the rooftops, the way his father had once taught him to listen to the wind before drawing. Under the watchful eye of Coach Singh, he honed his stance, his breath, his aim. He learned to calibrate his release to the microseconds of the wind tunnel that simulated Mumbai's sea breezes. Weeks turned into months. Arjun's scores climbed, his arrows thudding into the gold ring with a satisfying echo. He earned the respect of some trainees, wary nods from others, and a grudging admiration from Rohit, who began to share training tips after a joint drill. Yet the memory of that oath lingered, a phantom weight on his chest. The national qualifiers arrived on a bright October morning. The grandstand was packed with dignitaries, journalists, and a sea of spectators waving the tricolor. The Academy's flag fluttered beside the bronze statue, its golden glow reflecting off the polished floor. As the final round commenced, the announcer's voice boomed, Ladies and gentlemen, for the final event, let us welcome Arjun Patel, representing the National Sports Academy. Arjun stepped onto the platform, his shoes polished, his bow an extension of his arm. He glanced at the statue, the hand of the deity still outstretched, the oath echoing in his mind. The crowd fell silent as the first target was raised. He drew the string, the familiar tension, a reminder of monsoon-laden nights in Dharavi. He released. The arrow flew cleanly, striking the center of the target. The crowd erupted in applause, but Arjun's eyes were fixed on the statue. When his turn came again, he lowered his bow, stepped forward, and in a voice that rose above the murmurs said, My bow owes its strength to the winds of Dharavi, to the hands that forged it from bamboo and hope. I do not bow to a statue, but to every child who dares to aim beyond the walls that contain them. A gasp rippled through the audience. Coach Singh's face hardened, his eyes narrowing. Rohit shifted uneasily, his own bow feeling suddenly heavy. The referees whispered, glancing at the rulebook. The announcer faltered, then continued. Arjun Patel has chosen to break tradition. The Academy will convene to discuss the implications. The stadium lights dimmed, and a hush settled over the crowd as the Academy's board gathered. Hours later, a press conference was called. Coach Singh, stoic, addressed the nation. Our institution stands on centuries of discipline, he began. And while we respect Arjun Patel's talent, his defiance cannot be ignored. Arjun stepped forward, his sister beside him, her eyes shining with pride. I bow to no statue, he said, but to the spirit of every underprivileged child who dreams beyond their circumstance. Let this be a reminder that talent is not owned by walls, but nurtured by perseverance. The press burst into a flurry of questions. Within the next week, the Academy announced a new outreach program: scholarships for slum youths, open trials without oath, and a revision of its entry rituals. The bronze statue remained, but a plaque was added beside it, inscribed, "Eklavya taught us that true loyalty is to one's self and to the greater good." Arjun returned to Dharavi, not as a humbled student, but as a beacon. He set up a community archery range beneath the sprawling mango tree that shaded the lane where he first shot his viral bullseye. Children gathered, their eyes wide, as he demonstrated the proper grip, the breath before release. Meera watched from the doorway of her modest house, a smile hidden behind the folds of her sari. The rain began again, soft patters on tin roofs, but this time the sound felt like applause. In the evenings, the city's neon lights reflected off the water of the Mithi River, and the echo of arrows thudding into targets blended with the hum of traffic. Arjun stood on the makeshift range, his bow raised, the world behind him a tapestry of marble and mud, and he whispered, "May my arrows always find their true home where hope resides."